What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about how to simplify your life and be happy. And trust me, it's all about mindset. It's gonna be mind-blowing when you really find out how you can tackle this topic. It's not just about tidying up your house. We're actually gonna look way more into mindset and what you can do to change that behavior. Because in the end, our life circumstances, all the drama and chaos in our life is a reflection of what's going on in our mind. And I'm not just gonna say that and then we're gonna move on. We're actually going to understand how it actually works, how you project on the outside, because once you understand this concept, you can really apply it to every aspect of your life and improve it tremendously. Then we're going to talk about how you can identify the areas where you do have chaos, where you do have drama, so we can then narrow down what we have to change. It's not that easy if you just look at it and say, my life is full of chaos, I want to simplify it. No, we're really going to go deep down into the rabbit hole and understand what you need to do, where you need to look to change your current behavior. And then lastly, I'm going to show you this great exercise that will actually push you to your limits mentally a little bit, but that will definitely help you to overcome those things and that you can repeat in all areas of your life by yourself as well. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to know more about creating an epic life on your terms, check out the webinar. The link is in the description. And if you want to really go to fast track and work with me, you find the information below as well. You probably have heard that your environment, your surrounding, your relationships, all the chaos and all the abundance in your life is just a reflection of what's going on in your mind. But that is easier said than done. What does it actually mean? It's not just that you reflect on the outside, just what's going on in your mind. It's much deeper than this, because it comes down to this. We have certain stories we tell ourselves, certain things we can't process, certain things that we just feel like we have to carry with us. And if it's something that's too much for us to handle, what are we gonna do? We're gonna project on the outside so we feel that we're not carrying it with us. So let's say you have a lot of chaos in your life. Let's say your house doesn't look the way you want it to look like, your relationships are all messy, or you have way too many and you don't know how to handle them. Then it's because you have something going on, something happened in earlier life which you carry with you that just tells you that you're in a situation which you can't handle, where you do have way too much responsibility, situation where your life is just too hard for you to handle. And when we're younger, specifically if those things happen in our childhood or in our early youth, we don't know how to handle it. So we actually start projecting it on the outside. We start living in an environment that really reflects that back. And it's not even so much that we just can't handle it only. It's even more than that. It's that we can't stand the fact that we have all of this going on. And if you have this on the outside, you're not focused on your mind. If you have chaos here, you don't hear what's going on in your head. Let's say you sit in a very calm space. You sit there and you meditate. What happens? You get anxious. Why do you get anxious? Because then there's nothing to take your mind away from what's going on. I mean, you've heard people say, oh, I'm supposed to do yoga and sit there for an hour and not say anything, or I'm supposed to go to a massage or just meditate. It just makes me crazy just thinking about it. Well, that's why, because you have all of those things going on. And I've been in situations where I, for example, went to my boyfriend's house for the first time and everything was so much calmer than what I was used to. The surroundings was quiet. It was just a different kind of energy. And I remember sitting there and this anxiety came up in me and all this fear came up and I didn't know what that was about. Of course, I knew by then that this is all a reflection of what's going on in my mind and that this is forcing me to actually look at those things. But it's really interesting if you actually understand that this is the concept. This, what you see in your surrounding, is a reflection of what's going on in your head, not only because you can't handle it all in your mind and then you project it, but because you can't listen to your mind if you have all that chaos around. If you have a calmness in your life, and I'm not just talking about your surrounding, it can just as easily be your relationships. If you have no drama in your life, you really have to confront yourself. And this is happening on such a subconscious level that you're not even aware of it. Nobody of us says, oh, I want to have drama in my life. I want to have all that chaos. I want to have everything messy and just like really feel horrible about it. I really want this. Nobody does this. We all know it. But it doesn't mean that we can't actually go about it and change the situation. So how are we going to do this? Well, it is really time to look into the areas of your life you want to improve in. So let's first off talk about relationships. What are the relationships that cause you the biggest pain right now or the biggest drama? Is it that you always fight with your partner? Is it that you maybe have too many friendships that you can't really manage? Maybe you feel guilty that you're not calling your friends back and the time goes on and you kind of feel like every time they call you, you don't even want to answer the phone anymore because again, you weren't able to get back to them. That is a representation of you taking on too much to handle. And most of the time, you'll see that this reflects in other areas of your life as well. Is it maybe that you take on way too many responsibilities? Is it that you have way too much stuff in your house? You know, we tell ourselves, oh, I need this, like everything else would just be completely boring and my life wouldn't make sense. But that's not the case. You will see if you actually force yourself, gently of course, if you just push yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone in these areas, and later on when we talk about the exercise, we're really gonna narrow this down. But in the end, it comes down to the fact that we just can't handle this peace and quiet. We can't handle having relationships that have no drama. And we will tell ourselves whatever we need to hear to stay in this state, because forcing ourselves to actually confront something that we don't want is just too hard. Our ego wants to hold on to this because our ego is our personality, our ego is our sense of self, and you're challenging that by you saying, I don't want to be surrounded by people who just bring drama in my life. And if you're honest, like maybe you have friendships who do this, maybe you have a partner, maybe you have relationships with coworkers or just people in whatever kind of group you have that just make you feel anxious. But everything else would make you feel like your life is completely boring. That's the kind of stories I was telling myself, that the alternative would be boring, that my life wouldn't make any sense, that I would just be wasting my life if I wasn't focusing on those people because those people bring excitement in my life. But once I understood that actually once you bring that peace, you're still gonna want this excitement, but you're gonna do it while maintaining those boundaries you've set for yourself. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? So think about it. Is it your relationships? Is it that you have way too many tasks and that's why you are not able to fulfill any of them? A lot of us have goals that we just set out to do and we've been having those goals for months and none of it gets done because it's just too much. But we cannot, in any case, admit to ourselves that this is too much for us. This is another ego loss. It's another ego hit if we would have to admit to ourselves that we're just not capable of staying in the situation. We're not capable of making it to the next step. We're not capable to actually do all of these things. That is something that's gonna hurt you. That's something we don't want to admit to ourselves. And that's something we might be carrying with ourselves. So some kind of situations you had before where people or situations made you feel that you have to be able to handle all of it in order to be accepted or validated. So what do? You keep on taking more and more and you repeat this pattern that tells you over and over again, you're not able to make it. The solution, of course, is to actually minimize it by saying, I'm not able to do all of this. I have to take the ego hit. That's a lot when it comes to the exercise, what we gotta narrow in on, but to actually be willing to do that. You have to have an ego hit, but if you do it in a controlled setting, it's actually doable, it doesn't really overwhelm you, and you get to the next area of your life without it being like that big of a deal. You get used to the pain. It gets easier from time to time, and so I really gonna give you some examples of how you can do it. So once you're determined where you have too much chaos in your relationships, in your goals, the next thing is to actually look at your environment, where you spend most of your time at. So it can be your apartment, it can be your workplace, whatever it is, the place where you spend most of your time in. And then you can think about, okay, where's the biggest chaos in my life? Is it actually in my cupboards? Is it in my closets? Or is it on the outside? Do I lay stuff around? Or is it that I just have like my fridge and things go bad all the time because it's so full? Like really start making a list, and I really encourage you not just to watch this video and then to say, okay, I understand the concept. Write it down. You will see different results if you start writing these things down, because then you have it in front of you. Then you can actually take it on as a challenge to overcome those things. And it's not going to be that you just clean up your closet. It's not going to be that you tell yourself, oh, every time I do something, I'm gonna pick it up afterwards. You know why that's not gonna fix your problem? Because mentally, you've not overcome this thing that actually doesn't allow you to simplify your life. That's why so many people who actually set out a new goal or set out to say, oh, I wanna get healthy and fit, they're not able to do it because they start some kind of restriction, but their mind is not there yet. So at some point when everything kind of gets good, this feeling comes up, this uncomfortable feeling, no matter where it is in your body, you're carrying it with you. And what do? You do something to numb that pain. So you start eating or you start Netflix binging, whatever it is to just keep your mind away from it. And it's gonna be similar to this, but you need to know where those things are and the things that are most important to you so you can actually tackle it. For me, I actually learned quite early not to have too many things. I never had too many things, but I really had the biggest chaos in my life on the things that were hidden. So in my closet, when I was at my desk, in my drawers, it was always there. It was always something that nobody on the outside could see, but that I could see, that I knew was there, and that was always just below the surface, which gave me a lot of great insights because it told me, listen, Wenzes, you're not doing this for other people, you're doing this for yourself, and apparently there's something you're carrying with yourself. That is why you actually have those closets, because this doesn't bother you. And if you had all that order in your closet, then it will just make you feel uncomfortable. You will do something to sabotage it. The next time you get something out, you'll just like put it all together and put it in there. Who cares? It's on the inside. But I said to myself, no, I wanna actually improve myself. I wanna live an epic life. And it might start with your closet, but it's about your money, your relationships, your vocation, whatever you want in your life, living completely on your own terms. That is something that will help you to simplify those aspects. So once you determine which of those areas really cause you the biggest problem, so it may be your relationships, it may be your money situation, it may be your environment as in like where you live, whatever like you come up with that is just your thing, like it may be food. Like write all those things down and then let's focus with the thing that is actually the most important to you. Because that's also a part of simplifying your life. To say, I'm gonna focus on this one thing and I'm gonna learn how to do that. And I'm gonna master this. And maybe when I start the process and it's all going great and I know that I've taken control over this, then I can add one more aspect. Because if I take on way too much, trust me, you won't be able to make it. It's too much to handle and then nothing will work out. If you're really ready to make that change happen, then try this way and you'll see a big difference. So now let's get to the exercise, and I'm really excited about this because this is actually something where I excel at. Because this is something where I can stand a lot of pain. And so I've challenged myself a lot when it comes to these things, and that was why I was able to overcome so many of my limiting beliefs, of the things that actually brought chaos and drama into my life and really transform my life completely. So, and that is to actually stay in this uncomfortableness, where you have to face all of those uncomfortable feelings you're carrying with yourself. So let's say you have something in your house, because the house is a great aspect where you can do it really on your own. You don't have to worry about how other people are gonna react, which is another layer. We're gonna talk about that a little later. But for now, let's start with your apartment. Let's say you wanna have some kind of clarity in your life. Then choose a room that from now on, you're really gonna have as your sanctuary. And there you will allow nothing. So I'm not saying, okay, now you have everything chaos-like, and then when you're next time in that place and you tidy everything up, then it's okay to leave one book out, or it's allowed to leave like 3 clothes out, but then there's enough. I mean, nothing. I really mean if you have, let's say, 3 rooms and every room looks like chaos, you have one room where there is no chaos allowed. I'm serious about this. Rather like put all of your chaos into the other rooms, leave it there, put all of the mess that you have there, but that you have that one space that is all clear. That is really, really important. Do not underestimate this step. And this room is not used for anything else than for you to sit there in silence or with like really nice music. So you're not watching TV there, you're not scrolling through your phone. It can be like a part of a room, but in that area, you need to have that everything in your surrounding, everything that you see is tidied up. And even more so, also the things you don't see in that room. So when you're in this room and you have 3 closets, those closets have to be tidied up completely. So maybe choose an area of your house that is rather small. So it can be a place where you say, okay, now I can look outside, and outside it's nice, and in this area, like I really have everything cleaned up. There's nothing laying around. I'm not talking about a pen, I'm not talking about whatever it is. I just mean clarity altogether. Even remove disturbing colors that are just like really in your face. In this area, this is about bringing calmness. calmness, peace, it might like cause you to feel uncomfortable. Like I remember watching those Instagram feeds of those girls that had everything in beige and in brown and everything was so calm, and it made me so anxious, and I really disliked it. Now I actually don't. I still like colors in my life, but that thing doesn't bother me as much as it used to. But then I want you to sit in that place at least for 5 to 10 minutes every day. A week is enough. And in this space, you actually just sit with your feelings. And you'll see how a lot of uncomfortable feelings will come up, specifically if you allow another person with you in that space. Because when you're all by yourself, you don't really show up as often as the person you are on the outside as well. So let's say you're in your apartment and you live there with your partner, and it's really uncomfortable. But when you go into this room, you have more calmness. But you kind of have in the back of your head, oh, okay, my partner and my apartment is actually outside of there. I'm here. Make it a little different. First, sit in there by yourself and then tell your partner, come in here with me. Let's stay in here for 5 minutes, and we don't do anything. You can take a book, for example, or we can put on really slow and calm music, but it's about really staying in that and getting uncomfortable. If you feel too comfortable in that situation, then you don't have a problem. Then actually you should do more of that. You should expand that space in your house. But you have to start with where you're at. Remember, we can only improve what we already have. So this room is supposed to be the beginning point of everything. And this room will never ever be allowed to get messy. And you know what the difference is going to mean. That's what I'm saying here. It will become different because you force yourself to stay in that space and to say, no matter what, this is not about having this one clean spot and then everything else is messy. This is really an exercise. Because most of the time you'll think, oh, why should I care about this little space? The entire apartment looks like this. Who cares about this little thing? This is not gonna fix my life. Yes, it will. You just gotta sit in there and wait for this uncomfortableness to come up. Because then there's nothing you can distract yourself with. There's no distraction in food. There's no distraction in movie watching. There's no distraction in your phone. And there definitely isn't any distraction in any kind of chaos that you see. There just is none. And you stay there and you stay there for 5 minutes every day, you will see how this uncomfortableness will just become part of you. And if you are able to stay in there, if you don't go out, if you don't really take that away from you, what will happen? Your mind will be able to process it. It will process it step by step, and with that, you learn how to do it. And then you can keep on taking more into your life. For example, in your relationships, if you have way too many relationships in your life and you feel guilty because you can't handle all of them, you can't maintain all of those friendships, then just let some friends go and see how uncomfortable this feels. Call up your friend and say, I'm sorry, I'm going through some emotional things I have to figure out now. I won't be calling you for the next 6 weeks, or I won't be calling you for the next 2 months. And then sit in this uncomfortableness. Let people know that this is too much for you, because this will be one of the problems. This will be you standing in that room where it's uncomfortable. By you admitting to other people your shortcoming, which isn't a shortcoming, of course, at all, but that's how you feel it. If you still think, I have to do all of those tasks and I have to maintain all of those friendships. Once you push yourself to show up in the new world as this person who's actually aware and admitting to themselves and others, because often we just think we're admitting things to ourselves, but if you're really admitting to yourself, then you should also feel okay admitting it to your friends. So start maybe with one friend and tell them, sorry, that's too much for me, I cannot do it right now. And then sit in this uncomfortableness, stay with it, don't run away from it, and you'll see how amazing things will happen. Because you know what will happen? You go through the pain, and then on the other side of it, there's freedom. Because now, do you know why I have such a simple life? And with simple life, I'm not a minimalist, I'm not all about, okay, I have one shirt and I have one pair of pants and, I live in a little hut somewhere. That's just not my lifestyle. That's not what I'm talking about when it comes to simplifying your life. You can actually do it in a way where you just create harmony in your mind. And the more harmony you do create, you know what happens? The things that come up in your life, they actually help you to become more abundant. Because with all this chaos, you cannot see where you want to go. You cannot see what will help you to have a better life, to be happy, and to do the things that will actually bring you fulfillment. If you want to learn even more how to actually understand and master your mind so you can create an epic life on your terms, definitely check out the webinar on the Epic Life Masterclass, the 5 Pillars to Your Success. The link is in the description. And if you want to work with me privately and actually tackle what's going on in your life specifically, you find the information below. If you want to have some more information on decluttering and simplifying your life, then check out my video on this topic. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.